Hey, what's up, YouTube investors? Hi, I'm Steve from the Stock Market Shark channel on YouTube. For those of you guys who are watching my videos for the first time, a big hi to you. My channel is basically focusing on stock coverage, and I'm usually bringing you a very popular stock. I'm covering it both from the fundamental and technical point of view, and as such, I'm giving you guys a holistic picture of the stock, usually completed with a price prediction based on best practices used in the financial industry based on well-known models. This is going to be the case today as well. Guys, I'm just bringing you a very popular stocks on Wall Street from the latest weeks. It's called GlobalFoundries. It's a key player in the semiconductor industry, company ticker GFS. Guys, this stock is super hot at the moment, and it has just published its earnings reports, its first earnings report since it has debuted on the New York Stock Exchange. The company has IPO'd on the 28th of October, and since then it produced a massive rally. So for those of you guys who entered the company after the IPO, you were able to basically double down on your investment almost. I'm going to show you the numbers. You're going to be super impressed. But till then, guys, the usual ask is just in all of my videos, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button below and support my channel and support me in building this wonderful community behind the channel. Because as the saying goes, trading together, trading in this wonderful community behind the Stock Market Shark channel is much more fun than trading alone. Guys, I'm coming with important updates and stock coverages. Usually when the companies publish an earnings report, I'm covering the stock right away. I'm giving an updated price prediction. So this is going to be the case today as usual. So this is what differentiates me from the other content creators. So please make sure that you subscribe. But now I wouldn't like to waste more time on this ask and on this favor. So let's get started. Let's look into the details of GFS GlobalFoundries stock and the first earnings report since the company IPO'd. And of course, the price prediction. We couldn't miss that either in the end. Let's get started. So GlobalFoundries was a very hot stock in the last weeks. As you can see, guys, the company currently is around 70 USDs per share. So this was the current share price. The company IPO'd on the 28th of October. So it's basically less than 2 months ago. And since then, it has produced some massive rallies, some massive yields. Eventually, in the last 5 days, the company rallied more than 8%. In the last month, it rallied almost 30%. And since its IPO, it rallied almost 50%. So yes, guys, if you enter the company at the IPO, then you were able to double down your investments. Good for you guys. And here I need to tell you a story. This GFS ticker is a high conviction stock for me since the IPO. I've been following it very closely. And eventually I wanted to enter the stock at the IPO. And just to make you smile, guys, what happened to me when the IPO happened, I've been sitting in the car. And as this one was an IPO, the ticker has not yet been onboarded to my trading platform. So I needed to call the broker at the US trading desk, and I needed to give him an order investment instruction via the phone. And there was like a huge traffic jam and there was a lot of background noise. So I wanted to tell him what I want to do with the investment. I told him the details, I told him the quantity, I told him the limit price, the price limit. So I told everything, and then he repeated back, but I think that I was a little bit distracted and I was not paying full attention because all the background noises and traffic going on. So basically, I thought that everything was fine, and I thought my order was filled. And I was super happy because I've seen that the company basically after the IPO went back to 45 USDs, and after that bounced back. So I was pretty sure that the order was filled. So I was quite happy that I was on the train. And when I got home and I checked my transaction list, I realized that the order was not met, that the order was not filled. And this was basically because of the misunderstanding between me and my broker via the phone. So of course, a few days later, I was able to enter the stock at a relatively higher price, but I was still able to capture most of the rally. So just an interesting story before we dive into the details. So this is where we are. And let's take a closer look at the company itself. What is GlobalFoundries doing? So first of all, we need to understand what a foundry is. What are these companies basically doing? So a chip foundry meaning, foundry is a semiconductor manufacturer that makes chips for other companies. It's also called fabs. Semiconductor foundries make most of the chips in the world for hundreds of fabless companies that design but do not manufacture, including some of the largest well-known tech leaders such as Qualcomm, NVIDIA, and Apple. So basically, these companies, just to summarize, are just manufacturing. They are not designing the chips, and they are basically the vendors for the largest semiconductor companies like NVIDIA and Apple. So this is pretty much it. And then just for those of you who haven't heard anything about GlobalFoundries, I put together some details of the company. So let's see how this goes. So just to bring you up to speed, guys, those ones of you who are not familiar with GlobalFoundries. So GlobalFoundries, company ticker GFS, is a multinational semiconductor contract manufacturing and design company incorporated in the Cayman Islands and headquartered in Malta, New York. The company manufactures chips designed for markets such as mobility, automotive, computing, and wire connectivity, consumer Internet of Things. As of 2021, GlobalFoundries is the fourth largest semiconductor manufacturer. It produces chips for more than 7% of the entire semiconductor manufacturing industry. And it is the only company with operations in Singapore, the European Union, and the United States. The company has multiple huge fabrics all around the world. You can see some details here, but I think that is enough as a starting point just to understand what the company does as operation. So I would just also like to reflect very shortly on the mission statement and the value proposition of the company. This was shared in the investors presentation before the IPO. So the company says our mission is that we innovate and partner with our customers to deliver technology solutions for humanity. We manufacture semiconductors around the globe. Our vision, we are changing the industry that is changing the world. So this is pretty much what the company says as a mission statement. And I would like to just visually show you the main highlights in the company's history. So this is also taken from the presentation, from the investors presentation prior to the IPO. So as you can see, the company has been formed in 2009. It was formed as a joint venture between AMD. So it was a spin-off from AMD and also Mubadala. Mubadala is basically a sovereign wealth fund from the Emirates. So we can see some major acquisitions as major milestones in the history of the company. As you can see here, in 2010, the company acquired Charter Semiconductor. In 2014, there's a partnership with Samsung. It also in 2015, it acquired IBM Electronics. So we can see some major milestones in terms of the acquisitions. And then finally, in 2021, this was a big year for GlobalFoundries. They moved the headquarters to New York. They broke ground for a new fab in Singapore, and the company IPO'd in this year as well. So that's where we are at the moment. And let's take a look at the global market of the company. So the company is focused on growth markets. You can see the segments here. So they are producing chips for the smart mobile devices industry, personal computing, communication, infrastructure and data centers, home and industrial Internet of Things, and automotive. So these are like all high growth segments. And just to give you a context on the size of this market, so you can see the global GDP here. It's 80.6 trillion USD. So you can see the size of the electronics market, and below that, the semiconductor market and the foundry market. So basically these outsourced vendors that manufacture chips for the semiconductor industry without designing it. That's a market of almost 80 billion USDs. And there are only 5 foundries at scale, basically filling the needs for this market. And GlobalFoundries is one of the key players from them. So this is pretty much what the company is about. So I just wanted to give you a context to understand what the company is doing and to be able to interpret the financial highlights in a little bit of a wider context. And now, yeah, let's look into the financial results. Let's look into the financial highlights. And eventually, guys, I have to tell you that this is the type of company that I really like. This company is still at its early growth stage, so it has been just turning into a profitable company. And this is a key milestone, guys. This company was swinging to positive profits in this quarter. So this is a very important milestone. I think that a lot of the investors are waiting for such a milestone who are investing in early growth companies. So I really like this company because it was obvious that the company is following some tendencies of improving its financials. So it was producing net losses in the previous quarters, but there was a very clear tendency that it was a very clear pattern that the company is on a trajectory into turning into a profitable entity. And this eventually happened without surprises in this case. So I really think that there's a huge growth opportunity in front of this company, and the risk-reward ratio for this company is just magnificent. So this is a growth stock. You would see the growth rates are high flying, but still there is some reliable pattern in the performance of the company. So someone who invests into it is investing in a growth stock, but with basically a reliable, predictable risk. So that's really, I think that's the sweet spot in the investing world. I really like these stocks. I'm looking for these stocks. So that's why I'm bringing this to you guys. Probably you could still get on the train with huge profits ahead. And guys, I would also like to capture the financial highlights for the third quarter from the company's press release. So as you can see here, it's also mentioned the revenue grew to 1.7 billion USDs sequentially, meaning that compared to the latest financial quarter, this represents a 5% growth quarter to quarter. And on a yearly basis, this represents 56% growth. So basically, this is very, very massive revenue growth. This company is basically scaling up. This company is having a huge boost in revenues. So that's very good for the future. And what's very important as well is that in parallel with the revenue growth, the margins are improving as well. So the company registered record margins of 17.6% and adjusted gross margins of 18%. So basically, the company is demonstrating continued progress to their target operating model. That's very important. And finally, and this was the biggest surprise to me, the cash flow from operation was exceeding 1 billion USDs. And this is just such a significant leap, such a huge leap compared to the previous year's free cash flow numbers. You would see, I would put this in context, guys, but this is a huge leap, and we can use this data to value the company and come up with a fair stock price for the company. And I'm going to do that in a second, but let's take a quick look at my calculations to put this free cash flow number into a bit of context. So as you can see, guys, the revenue growth on a year-on-year basis is 56%. That's very important. Another key data from here is the EPS, the earnings per share. This is the first time that his EPS was positive. It's 1 penny per share, 0.01. In other words, in 2020, this value was minus 2.53 USDs per share. So there's a massive improvement there. It's a massive improvement there. The net income is like a very tiny 5 million USDs currently, but just compare this number to the latest year's almost minus 300 million value. A huge improvement there. And it's not the 5 million what's important here. It's the milestone that the company has achieved, that it went basically profitable. And this is just the starting point for the entire journey. This is going to get much more better in the future. But at least the company delivers some solid proof that it can turn into profits. And that's what everyone was waiting for. The free cash flow is in the quarter So if we basically subtract from the operating cash flow the capital expenditures, we will get a free cash flow per quarter of 747 million USDs. We can annualize it, and then we would get almost 3 billion free cash flows, 3 million USDs for free cash flows, and just basically realize the difference in this number compared to the number in 2020. The difference is almost sevenfold. So it's just a huge difference, and this is, I think, just the starting point. And guys, I've given you the context for GlobalFoundries, what the company does. We've seen the financial highlights. We've seen what kind of important milestones have we reached with this quarterly report. And as usually, I wouldn't say goodbye without building up a model of the company's stock price and giving you a price prediction. Guys, I wanted to make you realize that this is a very good investment opportunity with a very good risk-reward ratio, based on my opinion. So let's investigate it in a bit of more details. I'm going to use a discounted cash flow model as usual. The discounted cash flow model is projecting the future cash flows of the company. It's converting them back into the present moment. It's aggregating these cash flows to get the enterprise values. It subtracts from the enterprise value the value of the debts, and it will deduce the value for the shareholders. And if we divide back this value with the number of shares, we get a fair intrinsic price for a GlobalFoundries share. Guys, I've collected all the data that you can see here on the screen. For the calculation, I'm going to use the annualized free cash flow that I just showed to you from the recent report, that is almost 3 billion USDs. We need the total cash, the total debts, everything was collected from Yahoo Finance. The total number of shares is 531 million outstanding shares currently. The discount rate, this is also accessible via different sites. It's 7.4%. This is basically the return that the investors expect from the company. And we are projecting the free cash flows for 10 years. And after that, we are going to use a growth rate that is going to be stable forever. And this is usually the expected growth rate of the economy. So I'm using 5% here. While we are using just the free cash flows from the recent quarter, I calculate with some kind of uncertainty. So I'm applying a margin of safety. This is going to be a quite high margin of safety. So I'm going to stick to 30%, as we are not able to have multiple years of free cash flows and average them out. So we are just relying on one single quarter. So that's why I'm building this into the projection model as well. And we need the expected growth rate of the free cash flows for the future. And for this one, I'm going to use the industry average, the average growth rate from the semiconductor industry. And I think that with this one, I'm going to be super conservative. I do think that the company would be able to exceed the average growth rate of the industry. Well, this growth rate is currently, as you can see, the free cash flow per share growth rate from the Seeking Alpha website is 18% currently. So I'm going to use this value, and we can basically say that with these inputs, the valuation is going to be very conservative, and the reality can be much more positive, can exceed this valuation model. So with these inputs and with this margin of safety, and you would be astonished, we would get a stock price, a fair intrinsic value for the stocks of 121 USDs. So it's a huge upside potential, almost 50% from the current levels. And guys, just think about what happens if the company would be able to exceed this expected growth rate, for instance. So if I'm not applying any margin of safety, then the fair intrinsic value for the share should be 173 USDs. And if we say that the growth rate is going to be eventually higher than the industry average, let's say it's going to be 23%, then we can get even higher numbers. So with a 23% growth rate, the intrinsic value per share is 242 USD. So let's keep this model simple and conservative. So I would go back to the 18% growth rate, and I would also apply a margin of safety here because of the lack of historical data for the projection. So I think that the fair price based on my model is 120 USD per share. This is not so far from the high end of the estimations by the analysts. So let's quickly take a look at the estimations as well. As you can see, guys, the estimates range from a low of 41 USDs to a high of 100 USDs. The median is 80 USDs. And the analysts, the majority of analysts basically have a buy or overweight trading. So 11 analysts say that the stock is a buy. So I think that the overall picture looks super, super positive for these stocks. So I think that based on my model and my analysis, this is definitely a buy, guys. So with that, with putting together, guys, a holistic picture, I hope that this video was helpful to you. It gave you an idea of what GlobalFoundries is doing, and it gave you an idea if this is a very good investment for you in the future. So guys, thank you very, very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it was helpful for you to formulate a good investment strategy, and probably I just given you a good idea for investing in a prosperous stock in the future. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'm coming back with similar ones, but please make sure that you subscribe and you won't miss any of the updates, any of the upcoming stock coverages. I'm coming back with videos in similar style. I'm going to do earning updates, fundamental analysis based on best practices in the financial industry. I'm going to use real research, and I'm going to base my projections on real data. So everything is going to be quite exact and quite scientific, guys. So if you like this video, then please support my channel by subscribing. But before I say goodbye, thank you once again for watching my video, and let me know what you think about GlobalFoundries. Share your comments below. Comment if you've bought the stock, comment about your expectations. Let's make this interactive. So I hope that I can find out your views on GlobalFoundries. And guys, see you soon in another video, and take care till then. Cheers and bye.